Hello everybody and welcome to another one of our class overviews for patch 2.0 on Star Wars on the PTS. So in this video we'll be going over all of the new abilities added and talents changed and different abilities just changed in general for the Powertech and for the Vanguard advanced classes. Now if you want to look at the gear, you can see it here, but we have a separate video for the new high-level gear for each of the different classes if you want to go check that one out. Also, we have a video for each of the advanced classes going over all of the different changes added because there's a lot of the stuff. Also keep in mind, most of this is subject to change, so if it does change, we'll put up an updated video and get you guys settled with all of that. Now, before we actually get started, it's worth noting that I'm going to do in all of these class videos that the stat alacrity got completely changed. So, according to the patch notes here, it says alacrity has been redesigned to be a more universally useful stat. Alacrity reduces the activation time of all abilities, including instant abilities. If such an ability is reduced below the global cooldown is reduced as well. Alacrity now also increases resource regeneration for all classes by the same amount that it increases ability activation speed. So it's way more useful, and that's useful to note for all of the classes because all of them get the alacrity changes as well. So you'll see a lot of alacrity in the new abilities and talents and all that. So I figured I'd come over here to the operations training dummy. Actually bought it specifically for this cause. Don't usually have it, at least I don't have it on the live servers, but we're going to be showing you all of the new abilities added specifically for the Powertech and for the Vanguard. I don't know exactly what these abilities are called for the Vanguard, so you're going to have to do a little bit of translation, but it shouldn't be too bad. So the first thing is that the Bounty Hunter got a new ability called the Shoulder Cannon, as you see here. So I can activate it, right? And we will do just that. And it pops up on my shoulder there, and then it'll charge up, and you'll see a little like animation happen like that, and it shows that there's a new missile in it. So let's actually read what it does here, and I'll show you guys if I can find it. It is right there it is. So it deploys a shoulder cannon, which is awesome, that gradually loads 4 missiles over time. Once loaded, the shoulder cannon can be triggered again to fire against an enemy target within 10 meters, launching 1 missile that deals a ton of damage. A missile can be launched up to once per second. Loading and launching the shoulder cannon does not respect the global cooldown and can be done while controlled. Once all missiles have been loaded, depleting all missiles puts the shoulder cannon on cooldown for 1.5 minutes. So this is interesting, and I've been playing around with it a bit, trying to figure out exactly how to use it because I'm dyslexic and it's really hard for me to understand all of that stuff. But as you see here, I can instantly fire the thing at the target dummy. Ooh, let's do that again because it'll actually... I think there's supposed to be an animation, it's just not in yet. So it does quite a bit of damage. I mean, I'm a tank spec right now, and I can use it. So say like there we go, rocket punch, do my rail shot. I can also do the missile in between there, as you saw. It doesn't respect the global cooldown, and now it's on the 1.5-minute cooldown there. Now, it looks like this could be quite awesome, because let's read that again. Let's read the bottom part of it, just to kind of get a hold of it. It says, loading and launching the shoulder cannon does not respect the global cooldown and can be done while controlled. So that's really nice for PvP stuff, but then it also says, once all missiles have been loaded, depleting all missiles puts the shoulder cannon on cooldown for 1.5 minutes. So only once all of the missiles have been loaded does it do that, according to the tooltip, and we're going to test that out here. So we're actually going to switch it with balls. Let's just switch it with unload. I use unload quite a bit, funnily enough. It's really nice for tanking at range. Anyway, so we have that. That's the new ability, and while that's cooling down, we also got a new passive here. Let's see if I can find it. Close and personal. There it is. So increases the duration of energy shield, which is the energy shield, pretty standard. In addition, it does it by 3 seconds. In addition, suffering direct damage from area attacks vents 2 heat and heals you for 2.5% of your total health. This effect cannot occur more than once every 3 seconds. So it's worth noting that this is given to all Powertechs, not just tanks. so it's another way to vent heat, which is quite nice. So those are the two abilities that were mostly added. There is another thing here, but we'll get to that in a second once we figure this out. So we have 4 missiles. It clearly states it loads up to 4 missiles once the shoulder cannon triggered again. Yeah, up to 4 missiles over time. So let's try this. So we have it loaded. Now we can shoot one. So that was 1. So we're testing this ability out here. There's 2. What was that? Oh, that's my missiles loading. And 3. Now, what I'm trying to test here is, can we get a 5th? I don't think we can. Nope. So it's not loading anymore, and there you go. Now it's on cooldown. So what's one thing you can do with this ability is you can, because it is pretty confusing, you can put it on like right before a fight if you're a tank, jump in there, do a ton of damage, and just go ahead and blow all the missiles all at once to get your aggro that you need to do. Because it's free aggro. It doesn't cost any heat, as you see there. No heat costs or anything. So you could do that before a fight or before a burn phase if you're a DPS or a tank. Like a good example comes to mind is Kefis in TFB when he does his little face plant thing after you destroy one of the towers. That's a good time just to blow all your missiles and everything else, because remember, the missiles don't respect the global cooldown, so they could be launched with everything else as well, which is quite nice. Let's move this back over here. So it's a pretty cool and unique ability. The passive for reducing heat every time you get hit by AoE, plus you get to heal yourself for 2.5% of your total HP. It's another really good passive. But the other thing that got added to all bounty hunters in general, bounty hunters and troopers, is this ability right over here, hydraulic overrides. Now, this was previously in the middle tree. It was right there, actually, where torque boosters is now at. And what it does is, let me actually open it up so it's bigger text for you guys. There it is. So it's a 30-second cooldown, grants 6 seconds of immunity from movement impairing effects, knockdowns, and physics. I don't know what "and physics" means, probably knockbacks, and increases movement speed by 30%. So we'll try that out. So you see me move in, and we use it, and suddenly I got a little boost. Yeah, stupid droid. And it's got a cool little animation on it. So previously that was in the middle tree. Now it's given to all bounty hunters, which I like. It's a little bit of a boost for speed, especially for DPS. Like, imagine a Powertech DPS didn't really have any way of getting up and close and personal because they didn't have the jet charge. So that's one way to use it. Another way is to obviously prevent slowing and knockbacks and all that, which is also very great. I plan on using that quite a bit there. So that's the other ability that was added. We also, all bounty hunters got the flares, all bounty hunters and, I guess, troopers. So everybody has an aggro drop now, which is really great for DPS bounty hunters because they always had an issue with that, at least DPS Powertechs. And shoulder slam was removed from the game because it's absolutely useless, which is great. So in its place, we just got a ton of really cool stuff. Just load my shoulder cannon just because we can. So guard got changed a little bit. So for you tanks out there, it says guard crowd control effects that break on damage will no longer break from damage redirected through guard. It's a bug fix more than anything, if that made any sense at all. But it says, for example, a blinded guarder will no longer be broken out of the blind from damage dealt to a guarded target within guard range. So it's more of a PvP change. It's, you know, whatevs. It's a bug fix. Also, effects that are triggered through dealing damage, which affect a target who is guarded, will no longer also affect the guarder. And I think that was a bug as well, so they fixed that. And high energy gas cylinder for you tanks again. Actually, is that? Yes, no. Ion gas cylinder is what I meant to say. Got decreased damage. Where is it at? Where? I don't know where they put it, actually. They may have, or I may have been reading it wrong the entire time. You know what? I probably was reading it wrong the entire time now that I'm looking through that. Yes, I was. So, oh no, there it is. All damage dealt is reduced by 5%. So, all damage I do is dealt is reduced by 5% as a tank. Interesting. I don't think that was there before. I saw that and I was like, that makes me a little cautious. But ion gas cylinder has that effect now, so these other two don't, so you don't have to worry about it. So the combustion gas cylinder and the high energy gas cylinder weren't really changed at all. but the ion gas cylinder was, so it's got the 5% reduction to all damage done. Probably because we're so awesome. That's really the only reason I could think of that. Also, for you tanks, Heat Blast was redesigned. Let me pull it open so I can actually show you guys where. Oh, it's probably under Powertech, isn't it? Of course it is. And Heat Blast. Really? It's not there? There it is. Okay. So, same cooldown, same range as before, but now it fires a shot that consumes all heat screens and deals damage, elemental damage, vents 8 heat, and increases shield absorption by 25% for 6 seconds. This ability is only usable with 3 heat screens and does not respect the global cooldown. So if you remember, you got heat screen by defending against, resisting, or shielding an attack. That generated heat screen increases shield absorption by 1% for 20 seconds, stacks up to 3 times, so that was 3% for 20 seconds. This effect cannot occur more than once every 1.5 seconds. In addition, each time you build heat screen or refresh heat screen stacks, the active cooldown on Heat Blast is now reduced by 1 second. So the Heat Blast, basically, the best way to put it is you're not spamming it anymore. It used to be like every cooldown. It was just like use it, use it, use it. That was what you wanted to do. But now that's not the case anymore. Now you can use it kind of defensively, but for the most part, you could pretty much spam it. It's just gonna require you to understand when to use it and when not to use it. If you're about to tank swap, obviously don't use it. But if you're about to grab, aggro back from another tank, then you would want to use it. So it's just one of those abilities that got changed and adds a bit more flavor to it, but it's still kind of an interesting change, to say the least. But now we have more shield absorption when we need it, which is really great. And Oil Slick was also redesigned for tanks. It now sprays oil over the immediate area for 17 seconds. Enemies that enter and remain within the oil slick become unbalanced, slowed by 70%, and suffering a 30% melee and range accuracy loss. The previous one was it lasted 18 seconds instead of 17 seconds. I think this one 17. Yeah, this one lasts 17. The old one lasts 18. The old one had a 30-second cooldown. This one has, or 60 second? 60 seconds. So both of them have 60-second cooldowns, so nothing's changed on that front. But in the previous one, all accuracy was lowered by 20%, which is 10% less than the new one here. And now anybody who's inside of it is slowed by 70%, which is great. So that's the change on Oil Slick. And last but not least, Colto Overload was changed for tanks, which is the little heal over time we used to have. Let me just find it again. Actually, I think it was changed for everybody. Maybe not just the tanks. I'll have to confirm that later, but it says activating this ability. That's another one of those confusing ones. Activating this ability applies a health monitor that lasts up to 60 seconds, which triggers a Colto Overload when your health is reduced to 30% or less. If your health is already 30% or less, Colto Overload triggers immediately. Once triggered, Colto Overload, that was really hard to say, goes on cooldown for 3 minutes and rapidly heals you up to 30% of your max health for 8 seconds, but will not exceed 30% of your max health. It's confusing because I've tried to use this in combat before, and it just is really confusing. I didn't want to use it anytime I was in combat. Like, I went into a new raid, I just didn't want to use it at all. But basically, you drop below 30% health, and it starts healing you for 30% of your health for 8 seconds. But it says it will not exceed 30% of your max health, which is a little deceiving because it's either it will only heal back up to 30% of your health, and then once you're at 30% it'll stop healing, which I don't think that's the case, or it'll heal 30% of your total max health for the 8 seconds, and it won't ever heal more than that. So if you had like a health pack that increased your max health, it wouldn't exceed whatever the 30% of your max health was previously. I think that's what it's trying to say. It's another one of those confusing abilities. We'll understand it later. I'm sure it'll probably be tweaked a bit too, so I'm not too worried about it right now. But it seems like most of the Trooper and Bounty Hunter abilities have like strange phrasings on them that just make them really confusing, at least to me. But that's because I'm dyslexic. So That's that thing. I think that was all of the abilities added. Let me just go through this real quickly, at least for the Powertech and for the Vanguard. It was changed quite a bit on the Mercenary and Commando as well, so we'll go over that in a different video. Okay, so now let's look at the talent trees here. So once again, super big talent trees because they added a couple more stuff to it. Now we're just going to start from the left and go to the right. The most important thing to note is that the bottom part of this was changed to begin with. So this increased aim by 9% used to be right here, and this hyperfuel used to be right here. So they switched those around. Other than that, that entire bottom thing is the same. This is also the same, I'm pretty sure. Yes, that was also 16%. So this line is the same, it's just these two talents were flipped, probably making it a bit easier for DPS just to get that extra aim and then go back up, you know, whatever tree that they were doing before, so they don't have to spend points to get to what that used to be right there. As far as the next line is concerned, you have we'll get to that one in a second, but you have the new oil slick, as I was telling you. The upgrades right there is the exact same as it used to be, up absorption by 4%, but the previous one also reduced the cooldown of Culto Overload by 60 seconds with 2 points into it. That's no longer there anymore. I'm pretty sure that talent on the left is also slightly different, yes. So this is where it gets complicated. The last one said increases shield chance by 2%. In addition, shielding attack has a 50% chance to vent 8 heat, and that it could not occur more than once every 6 seconds. This one is now no 50% chance at all. It just, when shielding an attack, it vents 4 heat. So not 8 heat like it used to. Yeah, but now it's just 4 heat, but it does it every time. It's 100% chance, and it happens only every 6 seconds. When I was tanking, I noticed that I did have a lot more heat at my disposal to work with. Like, I wasn't overheating very much. Obviously, for the trooper, this would be ammo. So it was quite nice. I actually really like that change. We'll see how long it lasts. Well, like I said, all this is subject to change. The flame shield here, I think, is a bit different. Its effect was 7.5 seconds on this one. In the previous one, it was 4.5 seconds with the same percentage numbers. So don't ask me. It's just I guess they didn't want us punching things as much as we used to. That is the same. Yes, the next one over is also the same, and so is the no escape. So those are all the same. This is the same as it was in the previous tree, so it's jet charge, that never changed. But jet speed is different. So in the previous tree, it said that the jet charge had a 100% chance to increase your movement speed by 30% for 4 seconds. Same thing here, except it's got an additional bonus. It says, while active, getting attacked refreshes this effect's duration. I'm curious about how I want to try using. I want to experiment with these two right here, and I'll go over this one in a second. But the jet speed, in particular, is kind of interesting because if you're tanking, you're pretty much always going to get attacked. So it should if the boss attacks, you know, every 4 seconds at least, to it should refresh the effect on it, so you could just be able to run around the battlefield at 30% speed, which would be really nice. I'm gonna mess with that. That may still very much be just a PvP kind of thing, like it was in the other tree. However, I may mess with it and see if it's nice or not. It could be total crap. Who knows? Now, this was changed, I think. Before, it was a couple points. It was 3 points before, and it went up to 6%. Now it's 1 point, and it goes to 4%. And it was in a different position on the tree. We have this new Flame Engine, which direct damage attacks have a 15% chance to trigger Flame Engine, which finishes the cooldown on Flamethrower. Awesome, I love that. And causes your next Flamethrower to be free and channel and tick twice as fast. This effect cannot occur more than once every 24 seconds, but each rank beyond the first reduces that rate limit by 6 seconds. So it's 6 seconds lower or something. They keep wording these things way terribly. Let's actually go attack. So direct damage. I guess I need to rocket punch that. So there we go. Got it to tick, and here we go. Super fast Flamethrower. Done. Right? And let's see if we can get it to proc again. The funny thing is, if you use your normal Flamethrower, in fact, that's what we'll do. I'll show you it. It's quite nice, so it makes you want to kind of wait for the proc. So we'll put that on cooldown. Now let's try to get the buff. And we'll just spam everything we got. It's been more than 20 seconds at this point. Just give me all the buffs. Okay, it didn't do it. What I was trying to show you is the fact that if you... What's that little lightning thing? Oh, is that the new ion gas cylinder effect? I think it is. Anyways, what I was trying to show you is if you have your flamethrower on cooldown and it procs, it takes it off of cooldown, which is quite nice. But it's a nice ability to keep an eye out for. It's another thing to watch for is a Powertech, which I like, at least as a Powertech tank. And then this is a new one. Flame Sweep has a 100% chance to snare affected targets, reducing their movement speed by 50% for 6 seconds. I was trying this out in a pug raid, and it was really nice for AoE groups because nothing was really getting away from me. They would start moving toward a target, like if it grabbed aggro during an AoE pack, and I would just use Flame Sweep and it would slow it down, and I would be able to pick it back up in no time, which is quite nice. So I was experimenting with that, but I'm going to experiment with the jet speed as well. So it's a pretty nice talent. I like that it's there. Shield Cannon. This is new. So increases the damage dealt and threat generated by Flame Sweep and Shoulder Cannon by 5%. In addition, damaging a target with your Shoulder Cannon missile heals you for 5% of your total health. So you ready for this? I'm going to use it. You'll see the number. There we go. 1716. And I'll do that every time. So it's a nice little like bonus, so if you're even just slightly low on health, you can use your Shoulder Cannon, it'll heal you up. It's nice, I like it. Just make sure you don't kill yourself on the Dreadmasters in TFB, because that could possibly happen. And you know about the new Heat Blast. So that's it for the tanking tree. Let's move on to the advanced prototype, or whatever it is for, I think it's like gunnery for the trooper. No, that's the commando. Yeah, I have no idea what it is for the tanking trooper. Now, these two talents were switched around, so this Electro Dart used to be right here, but it's now the damage reduction. So this is a bonus for the tanks that would like this, 2% damage reduction, which I do. So I take that now. It used to be up here, so they swapped those around. This is the same, and this is the same. So that's just something to keep in mind there. This is the same. This is also the same. That is the same. Once again, same all the way across the board here. Nothing different there. This is a new talent. So with your retractable blade, it says increases the damage you deal with bleeding or two bleeding targets by 1.5%. So I think that goes up to 3%, which it's pretty good. It's better than nothing. So that's a new talent. Other than that, these two are the same. This one is the same. So are that one. This one is different because, like I said, it used to be this ability right here. So they made it so this talent now increases the duration of it by 4 seconds, which is quite nice for you DPS rating Powertechs, which is great because then you can get out of combat and get into it very quickly. Very good. So the same there, and there, but these two are new. So increase the range critical chance by 1%. Additionally, increases the damage dealt by Shoulder Cannon by 5%. That goes up to 15%. And immediately loads 1 additional missile. That goes up to 3 additional missiles, I think. So I think you immediately get all your missiles every time you use it. That is great. That is a really good ability, or skill, or talent, or whatever you want to call it. And lastly, when you take damage, you have a 50% chance, I'm pretty sure that goes to 100, to reduce the active cooldown of Energy Shield by 1.5 seconds. This effect cannot occur more than once every 1.5 seconds. In addition, when taking damage, you have a 10% chance to emit an energy redo. That was my email, which absorbs a low amount of damage, at least 6 seconds, and lasts 6 seconds rather. This effect cannot occur more than once every 10 seconds. So there you go. Pretty cool 2 new abilities up here, or 2 skills up there. But overall, I feel like the DPS Powertech is going to be much more happy. This is the same. This is the same, and this is the same. At least I'm pretty sure that one is. Yes, it is. So across the board, we also have these the same, so nothing too different there. It starts getting a little different with this. I think when activated, your energy... Let me read the last one says Energy Shield has a 100% chance to reduce all movement and pairing effects when activated. Now it is, when activated, your Energy Shield has a 100% chance to ignite in a blaze, lashing attackers for 508 elemental damage while it remains active. This effect cannot occur more than once each second. So it's kind of like a immolation shield, which is pretty great. I'm pretty sure this is new because this is definitely not on the old tree. Reduces the cost of Flame Sweep by 4 and gives Flame Sweep a 100% chance to trigger your combustible gas cylinder on all effective targets, which is really great. That is the same. I think this is the same. It may just... Nope, that is different. What used to be right here before was a rapid venting, which reduced the cooldown of vent heat by 30 seconds. It is no longer there. It reduces the damage taken by all periodic effects by 18%? Whatever. 15%. There we go. And this, I think they changed this in general. That's the same. It just has a new icon. Let me double check that. No, they changed that as well, did they? They made this a 1-point talent rather than a 3-point. Previously, it was 45%, 60%, and 6 seconds. Now it is 45%, 60%, and 6 seconds, just 1 point rather than 3 points. I think that's because they added so many other different talents in this tree. So this I do not see in the other tree, but it looks like it just has a new icon. So that's the same, it just has a new icon. The Firebug is different. And yes, okay, so the Firebug is different, and it increases the critical bonus of combustion gas cylinder, rail shot, power shot, incendiary missile, and thermal detonator by 30%. So that's nice. But actually, you know, that's the same as another talent that's in the other tree. It's just moved and has a different icon. They keep doing this to me. Why do they do this? It used to be right here, and this used to be somewhere completely different. These trees are really confusing. I've never spec'd up this tree, if you couldn't tell. So Burnout is pretty much the same. There's nothing different there. Same with Degas. I'm pretty sure that actually may be new. Yeah, it looks like it is. So Flare has a 100% chance to remove movement impairing effects when activated. Okay, that's, you know, all these really sound more PvP oriented. Now, this is the same as it used to be. I think the number might be a bit different. No, numbers are the same. The Power Bracer is new, so it increases the damage dealt by Rocket Punch, Incendiary Missile, and Thermal Detonator by 12%, 6%, because it's not a 2-point thing. And Rapid Venting was moved from like right here to up there, but it's changed. So this also increases Alacrity by 2%. Reduces the cooldown of vent heat and thermal sensor override by 15 seconds, which would be 30 seconds, which is great. So overall, quite a bit of changes across the board for all of the Powertech stuff and for all of the Vanguard. I'm kind of excited for it as someone who plays a Powertech tank primarily. There's a lot of cool things here for me to get excited about. Plus, I have a shoulder cannon now that's just this awesome. I wish I had a different animation. We'll see if it does later on, though. I'm pretty sure that is not final. And most of these things will probably change, like I said. So we'll update you guys as we go and figure out new ways of bringing you this content. We have a ton more stuff to do. We have every single advanced class to do. If you want to stay up to date with all of these videos coming out, because we're going to be covering the 2.0 extensively, you can subscribe to us on YouTube, follow us on Twitter, or like us on Facebook. Those are the easiest ways to see when new videos are uploaded. You can see that all in the description below this video. But on that note, I will see you guys next time.